Here we go. Good evening, members, and good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this meeting of the District Development Management Committee. For the sake of information and for the webcast, my name is Councillor Paul Kesker, and I am the chairman for tonight. On my right is Gary Wardle from Democratic Services, and next to him is Natalie, who is dealing with the webcast. To my left is Nick Finney from the Planning Office, and Andrew Marks, who is the Planning Services Manager. Somewhere in the ether is Vivian Messenger, who is, we hope, going to make sure that all of the electronics work properly. Item 1 is webcasting. Gary, please.
Thank you, Chairman. I'd like to remind everyone present that this hybrid meeting will be broadcast live to the internet and will be capable of repeated viewing or other such use by third parties. Therefore, by participating in this meeting, you are consenting to being filmed and to the possible use of those images and sound recordings for webcasting and/or training purposes. If any public speakers on Microsoft Teams do not wish to have their image captured, they should ensure that their video setting throughout the meeting is turned off and set to audio only. Please also be aware that if technical difficulties interrupt the meeting that cannot be overcome, the chairman may need to adjourn the meeting. And finally, can I remind councillors and all speakers to switch on your microphone when you begin to speak and switch it off when you have finished, please. And possibly mobile phones to silent as well.
Thank you, Gary. Item 3, apologies for absence.
Chairman, I have received apologies from Councillor Smooty Patel, Councillor Heather Brady, Councillor Ian Hadley and Councillor Roger Baldwin.
Thank you. Item 4 is substitute members.
Thank you, Chairman. We have Councillor Sam Kane tonight substituting for Councillor Ian Hadley.
Thank you. Okay, item 5. Members, do we have any declarations of interest? No? Okay, thank you. In which case we'll go to item 6, which is the minutes of the last meeting, pages 7 to 16 of your agenda. If there are no objections, can I ask that we take them to be a true record that I can cite? Oh, sorry, Councillor Pond.
Chairman, I don't have any correction to the minutes, at least I don't think I do, but I have a point of order arising out of them, which I hope I can catch your eye in a couple of minutes before we start item 1.
Right, okay. Quite sure how that's going to work, but anyway, is everyone happy that that I sign the minutes as a true record? Thank you. I'm abstaining on that as I wasn't here for the last meeting. Do you wish to catch my eye now, or Councillor Pond, or are you going to wait?
I might as well do so, Mr. Chairman, since you're in a receptive mood. Your Deputy Chairman last time, Councillor Williamson, announced after the vote on the application relating to Upper Clapton Rugby Club that since the council had refused a motion to refuse, that was now settled. But I see it's appeared in the agenda papers again. Might I have a ruling as to whether that question is closed or is still open?
Right, Gary, would you like to answer that? Sorry, what was the question? Well, I'm not sure I understood the question, to be honest, but...
The question was that the chairman announced from the chair that the matter of refusal of this application had been settled, and whatever happened now, it couldn't be refused. However, I still see in the papers the possibility of refusal, and I just wanted a ruling as to whether that was disabled under the rescission rule or whether it could still be considered tonight.
Thank you. Gary.
Thank you, Chairman. Yes, at the last meeting for the rugby club application, the officer recommendation to refuse permission for the reasons given was lost when put to the vote. However, the report did not contain any planning conditions or heads of terms of a Section 106 agreement, and the motion was then put, I believe, by Councillor Williamson, I could be wrong on that, that the application be deferred to the next meeting so the planners could provide you with a full list of planning conditions and potential heads of terms for a Section 106 agreement, which they have now done. The planners are still recommending refusal for the reasons given, because they believe it's contrary to policy, and that is their opinion. The application hasn't been determined, so you could potentially still refuse it, but given what happened last time, I think that you're going to have a discussion about the conditions and the heads of terms, and then there'll be a suitable motion to approve.
Councillor Pond and then Councillor Kane.
I'm not suggesting to the contrary, Chairman, but I'm just a bit confused, and so I appreciate Gary's guide.
Thank you. Councillor Kane.
During the last meeting, Chairman, we exhausted that application. I really would like to see the conditions and to talk about the conditions, and if we are happy. I would not really like to go again through the arguments and of the whole case. I'm sorry.
Okay. Councillor Sam Kane, and then I'll come back to you, Gary. Yeah.
I'm happy to defer to Gary if he's got a specific point to take to Councillor Kane.
Yep. Go on, Gary.
Councillor Kane, I believe the planning officer is not going to go through the presentation again, because that happened before. I believe the planning officer is going to put up a slide showing the site, briefly, probably repeat what I've just said, or said, well, you heard what Gary said, and then it'll be the public speaker, and then it'll be the debate.
Yeah, okay. I mean, this has been discussed very fully 3 times now. And we have all the information that we were lacking at the last meeting. So it's a question of hearing the proposals and then making our mind up. So, Councillor Sam Kane.
Yes, thank you, Chairman. I just want to clarify from my point of view, the way it was left at the last DDMC, there was a vote to agree with the refusal. That fell. Normally, what would then follow would be a motion to approve. But as we didn't have the conditions in front of us, we couldn't do that. So effectively, we come to this meeting with a motion on the table to approve.
Yeah. Okay, thank you very much. We'll move on now to item 7, which is site visits. I think we have a proposal. Councillor Williamson.
Thank you, Chair. I would like to propose a site visit for item 11, excuse me, EPF 197422. I apologise for making this so late, as from one who lobbied so strongly for site visits to be sorted out before. I apologise, I've been unwell since the last 4 council meeting. Looking through all of the documents, I was only able to visit the site on this Sunday, and there's very little you can see. And the more I think about this application, whichever way it goes, we either lose out low carbon energy or we put something there that we don't actually want. And I'm not sure which way this decision is going to go, but I think it is essential that the members get a chance to see more of the site than just the small bit from Harlow Road.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Morgan next. Councillor Morgan.
Thank you, Chairman. I'm very pleased to second the motion to defer this item. It is a very important application, something we've never seen in this district before. And so it's important that members of the committee see what the application is like before they make up their mind.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well, we have a proposal second. Councillor Kane.
I would actually go even further, if that's all right. I would like to see a couple of minibuses to take us, only because it is a vast area, and I'm sorry to say that it's impossible for me to walk how many pitches, football pitches, in the mud to actually see this. And if we have that and we are all together, then, one minibus will do. We can actually see it and stop and have a look and then continue. That's my proposal.
Okay, thank you. That is actually a separate proposal to whether we have a site visit, and I'd like to take the vote on the site visit first, if I might, and we'll come back to you, Gary, afterwards. Right, there is a proposal to defer to enable us to have a site visit. All those in favour, please show.
Nine, Chairman.
Against? And abstentions?
2, Chairman. So that's 9 for, none against, 2 abstentions.
Okay, so the matter will be deferred. I thought that this was going to happen, and I did take it upon myself to inform the speakers and the applicants that they were highly unlikely to get it dealt with tonight, and that is why they're not here. So thank you. The question of the minibus runs up against the department's cut in budget. Perhaps a large bicycle might be the answer, but I think perhaps Andrew may have something to add to that.
Yes, no, I think it's a good idea, so we'll definitely try our best to do that and either depart from a central place, but yes, take you all together.
Councillor Williamson?
Thank you, Chair. I'd like to second that proposal because I can't see myself walking around 88 football pitches either. So
no, okay. We'll see if we can get it out of someone else's budget then, Gary. That'd be the answer. Okay, thank you. We'll go straight on to number 8. We'll go straight on to item 8. This is for noting, except of course now we have accepted the local plan. It's now in force, and therefore it's probably not necessary for this item to appear on future agendas because it now exists. So we will go on to item 9, which is planning application EPF 1400/20, Epping Upper Clapton Rugby Club, Upland Road, Epping. Andrew, who is going to lead us through this? You are. Excellent.
Thank you, Chairman. Yes, like we discussed in the pre-briefing, we didn't prepare a new presentation because members of, I think some of you have seen it 3 times already. So what we did do is on page 19 of the agenda, made it clear that members will need to propose a motion to determine the application. And if it's for an approval, then so be it. What we did do is on pages 36 onwards, we put down some draft terms of reference for the Section 106 agreement, and then quite a long list of conditions. I must apologise, like almost always a small mistake has snuck in. You'll see conditions 1 and 2 are the standard conditions, and then on page 37 it starts with 1 and 2 again. So if members will allow us, we'll adjust the numbering appropriately if a decision notice goes out. A number of the conditions are also non-standard, and they were suggested or requested by Sport England amongst other consultees. Specifically, you'll notice, for instance, condition 15, which is to do with the community use, which we've had 1 or 2 member inquiries about today. So these are all the conditions that we feel are enforceable and that also pass the tests, the 6 tests set down by government. There is a small mistake in condition 15. The word until in the first sentence is not necessary. So again, we will change that if members are minded to grant permission. So I don't know if members have got any questions regarding the conditions or the heads of terms, or whether you want to see any of the planning drawings that we previously showed to you. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Andrew. I must say, I think officers have produced a very good report here that you've got all the information that members asked for at the last meeting. But we have questions. I'm happy to have it. Take them in a minute. So I'm now going to ask our speaker, who is Anita Cook from the Rugby Club, who has 3 minutes. If you could turn on your microphone. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Anita Cook, the club's Vice Chair, and I have been a volunteer for many years. I apologise that I must stress once again the enormity and importance of this application to all the volunteers that run this club, its members and the local community that use it. We cannot be effectively conveyed in this speech. The level of dedication and passion that we put into this club and the longing we have to continue to do so is only possible if we can secure its future. The club is extremely grateful that the committee members took the decision in January to support and view this application positively, subject to conditions and a Section 106. We recognise that it was not an easy decision to make, but it is of extreme importance for our club's survival. A decision this evening to approve this application will give us the opportunity to address our existing deficiencies and obtain financial security for a major sporting facility in the local community. Following the deferral in January, we have worked collaboratively with your officers and agreed a draft set of planning conditions and heads of terms for a Section 106 legal agreement to give certainty to the committee members. This includes assurances that the existing buildings will be demolished, the occupation of homes delayed until works to the rugby club reach a satisfactory stage, arrangements for parking marshalling on match days, and submission of a parking management strategy. We hope that this enables all the committee members to agree to this application being approved. Sport England supports what we are trying to achieve. The local community supports us also. As a major sporting club in the district, the residents proposed for this area within the local plan will wish to use our facility. We have agreed to enter into a community use agreement to increase the diversity, inclusiveness and participation of the local community in sport at our club, and we look forward to welcoming them. This application is not just about the survival of the club, it is also about the people, the community and the generations of children and adults who play, learn and grow through sports, who create memories and friendships that last a lifetime. This application is about preserving the heart and soul of our community, and I hope tonight you can finally come to a conclusion to agree to approve this application. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. You're clearly more popular than I am. I don't get that sort of result. Members, would anyone like to either ask a question at this point or make a statement? Councillor Whitehouse.
Thanks, Chairman. Yes, I won't repeat what I've said at the numerous previous meetings that we've had on this, but I think officers have done a thorough job on going through the conditions and addressing the issues that members have raised at previous meetings, and I thank them for that. I'd got one question on one point. Condition 21 talks about floodlights not operating between 2200 hours and 0700 hours on Monday to Sunday, public or bank holidays. I mean, that basically means any day, doesn't it? Unless I've missed something. Yeah. I mean, I was one of the people who raised issues about the community use agreement, and I think I've been reassured by officers that it is deliverable and enforceable. And the importance of that is that it means the development's not for the private benefit of members of one club only, but extends to other sports like netball and football and youth activities and so on and so forth. So it's essential that that's delivered. And I'm also particularly pleased to see involvement of Sport England because clearly they are the body that know what standards are appropriate for sports pitches and sports facilities and so forth. So I welcome that as well. Thanks, Chairman.
Okay, thank you. I would draw your attention to condition 24, which is to do with the floodlighting being turned off 30 minutes after its use at any time. So if the area that's being flooded is not being used, the lights have to go off. Okay, any other councillors? Councillor Kaufman.
Thank you, Chairman. Can I just a question of Mr. Marks, if possible? Just the 106, just so I understand it. It's saying that before the houses to be consented can be occupied, some of the buildings on the site have to be demolished and the car park implemented. Are there any other? It doesn't say and the new pitch is built or the new clubhouse built. It just says the car park and the demolition of the buildings. Is there any other linkage between the planning and what has to be done by the applicant? If I can come back after that, please.
Yes, that is in the Section 106 agreement, but you'll see there are several trigger points in some of the planning conditions as well that requires removal of buildings before certain trigger points in the development cycle.
Okay. Councillor Kaufman.
Thank you, but it doesn't say and do the pitches, do the floodlighting, build the clubhouse.
No, but what it does say is that the money that's obtained from developing the houses has to be spent only on those items. So one would assume that they're going to be delivered in that way.
Okay, I'm not a naysayer. I just don't understand that, because the whole reason we are having to make this decision is because of the works that everyone wants done, but there doesn't seem to be an obligation for them to be done. So, concern one. Concern two, I did say at the last meeting, I felt there should be something, a nod to the affordable housing requirement in the borough, which has been ignored. It's not a deal breaker for me, but there should be something else here, not just for the club. Because what's happening, other people on the other side of this argument are saying the first development was completely out of character with the road. The road has been built up over 150 years, 200 years, and there are all different housing styles. And the first phase, let's call it that, is dreadful. And it is dreadful. And now the second phase is a completely incongruous development of houses that all look the same. It's a suburban development that is completely out of place that we're being asked to agree to. And it should have been a more sympathetic design, because it's really pushing all of the boundaries to give this. And it's in the face of the people who don't want it, saying, I've got a new road entrance, and I've got houses that look the same, which would not normally be allowed. There's a lot of things balanced against it. So that's that. I understand the importance and the pressure, but pressure shouldn't be leaning on us to give an incorrect decision. It has to be the correct decision, which is obviously what we're striving to do. So there are concerns.
Okay, thank you. Do you want to come back?
Yes, specifically on that point. So if members are so minded, we could look at the condition 19, which talks about the phasing of development, and roll up any sort of trigger points for delivering specific bits of the sports facilities in a phasing. So if members want to do that, we can do that, and we can just make a note that should form specifically part of the phasing plan.
Members happy with that alteration? Yes, Councillor Matthew.
Thank you, Chairman. Just on that, is it not through the conditions where it says several times that the dwellings can't be inhabited until X has happened, until Y has happened? Surely that covers Councillor Cuffman's concerns, because they can't actually, no developer is going to develop a house that they can't then sell or anyone live in, so that's going to, these conditions are kind of covered in that, was my understanding.
Clearly Councillor Cuffman doesn't agree with you, but Andrew, if you'd like to come back on that.
Yes, no, so the suite of conditions that we have there is what officers discussed with the rugby club and what we feel comfortable with, like I say, but the phasing plan can be looked at if members want to roll that specifically in there.
Yes, Councillor Pond.
Well, I haven't heard an answer to Councillor Kaufman's point about affordable housing. The non-provision of affordable housing, I think, makes it more problematic in the Greenbelt. And I don't know whether the officers have had discussions with the applicants about that. Perhaps Andrew Marks could elucidate. And I've got one other point I have to make. So,
Andrew?
Unfortunately, the case officer couldn't be here tonight, but my understanding was that those conversations were had. But I would just remind members that because of the number of dwellings being delivered on this site, it is below the threshold. So I know that there were discussions taking place, but clearly it's, and I think members actually invited the club to make an offer, but clearly that was not forthcoming.
Okay, would you like to take your other point, Councillor Pond?
Yeah, sorry. The other point, Chairman, was I was approached by, well, I say a constituent, but not a constituent of mine, obviously, but some way from my ward, but particularly concerned with heads of agreement on number 4, which is the possible effect of parking on Upland Road and deleterious effect on neighbours and residents. I'm wondering, his point was that should be subject to scrutiny by the county highways officers. he in fact wanted to be here tonight and question the county highways officers. And I said that's not something we do in the District Development Committee. But is that a point that could be taken up to include possibility of parking prohibition or restriction and discussions with the county highways officers?
Switch off. Thank you.
I mean, we can't, through this planning application process, ask the Highways Authority to intervene in terms of parking. The reason why the specific heads of term is in here is to assist the rugby club to speak with us, and if members so wish, we can obviously speak to Essex County Council, who owns the highway. I think the problem is that we can't control the activities of the site through planning conditions, and this is the sort of the best way in which we thought to prevent issues around match days, to not just make sure that the parking takes place on site, but also that there's a marshalling for in and out. Because I don't think it's reasonable to expect the rugby club to try and stop people from parking on the road if they're lawfully allowed to park there.
Yeah, I would make the point that the Highways Authority is the county council, not the district council, and there's nothing that we can do about that. That would have to be taken up with county. Can I ask Councillor Whitbread if he would like to add something to this? Though he's not a member of the committee.
Thank you, Chairman, and thank you for allowing me to speak to your committee. Yes, indeed, we have already previously raised the highways issues in Upland Road, and I have to say they're not all the responsibility of the rugby club. There are other businesses in the area that park on Upland Road Monday to Friday around the junction area, and we have already taken this up through the LHP, Councillor Pond. In fact, there's 2 schemes on the LHP at the moment that address issues around pavement parking and speeding and some more junction protection. So it's not all the responsibility of the rugby club for that, and of course we have taken up residents' concerns on those lines. The key thing is here, this planning application will improve the parking on site. Because the car park will be better and more welcoming to away players when they come to the site. So I think that's an actual uplift too. And I think this is one of the key things, isn't it? We've struggled with this application, and I think the amount of attention that members have given it and officers have given it, and the collaborative work that's gone on since the application was agreed previously has shown that there is additional community benefit here. And that's what outweighs some of the other interests that there should be. And first and foremost, if this is agreed tonight with these conditions on it, it will actually deliver something really good for the community in the future at a time when we all know people need to be fitter, healthier. I look at myself, but it's past me. But I think that's where the community gain is.
Okay, thank you very much. Right, I think we've yes. The other councillor Whitbread.
Sorry, thank you, Chairman, and I'll just come in quickly as the county councillor just to pick up on that net point, and Councillor Whitbread covered most of it, but we have had really long debates, and that was a particular concern of mine, but the problems around Upland Road are quite specific concerns and can't be put onto the rugby club. Indeed, some of it is actually residents parking on the pavement. I was there just the other day, but we are looking and seeing what we can do in terms of enforcement. But I just wanted to welcome this report and the conditions which have come from it. It's been a very, very long process, and the rugby club and the team representing them have been very patient, and also our planning officers have had excellent conversations over that period of time. And I just really want to emphasise the point which I made at the previous 2 meetings, I think it's been now, that this is a really wonderful community facility. There are a number of issues which I think have largely been ironed out, and actually overall this is a fantastic thing for Epping and the wider district as well. So I hope that members will support this application this evening. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Can I have a proposer for approval, please? Councillor Matthews, and a seconder? Councillor Kane. Right, we have a proposal for approval. All those in favour, please show.
Nine, Chairman.
Against?
None, Chairman.
Abstentions?
2, Chairman.
Thank you, in which case planning permission is granted. would say to all of those in the public gallery, you're more than welcome to stay for the rest of the meeting, but I have a distinct feeling you probably won't stay. We'll just give you a couple of minutes to clear the gallery. What? Thank you. I would just say before we continue, members, that the Duke of Wellington said he didn't like people cheering him because if they did, the next day they'd be throwing bricks at him. So I simply make the point it's better to be just technical and quiet. We will now take item 10, which is application 1869/21, Waltham Abbey Swimming Pool, Round Hills, Waltham Abbey. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. This is the former Waltham Abbey swimming pool in Waltham Abbey. I will just check my slides. So the application...
It hasn't come up on my screen.
That one. That one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then, yeah. Okay.
Oh, that's it.
Got it.
We got it.
Application site is located in the southwest of Round Hills in Waltham Abbey. It's currently a cleared brownfield site. Its previous use was the Waltham Abbey swimming pool prior to its relocation. The swimming pool was demolished in 2019 and the site's been empty since then. Just some photos to on the left hand side is the site as it currently is, and the right hand side, just for reference, the former leisure centre that was previously on the site. And then to the immediate south of the site is some public open space, so just some views from the west and the south of the site, looking towards it's got some vegetated tree line and fencing. And then just immediately further to south is the M25. So the site has been allocated in the new local plan as site allocation WAL R6. This took the site out of the Greenbelt. The Greenbelt previously went up to the built boundary, but now the site is not in the Greenbelt and it's an allocated residential site. The allocation noted an approximate capacity of 27 units. So the proposal before us is for a full planning permission for a development of 28 homes, associated access and landscaping. The site's utilising the previous access that served the leisure centre, and it's an 18% affordable homes are provided, which equates to 5 units on the site. So just showing the landscaping scheme, which includes, there's an existing public footpath to the east of the site. The scheme widens that footpath to provide better access to the public open space. And the site itself includes access points into the open space adjoining, which will be available to residents of this new development, but also residents of Waltham Abbey beyond, so they can continue to access the open space. There's 35 car parking spaces proposed, including 7 visitor spaces. There's 8 active electric vehicle charging spaces, with the remainder having passive provision. There's 36 cycle parking spaces for the dwellings, for dwellings and for visitors, and a car parking management plan is proposed by condition. Just to go through some of the unit types proposed, we've got Block A, which is in the northwest corner, which comprises 3 two-bedroom houses. Then have Block B adjacent, which is 4 two-bedroom houses in a slightly different design style. We then have Block C, which is the same, again 4 two-bedroom houses. And then on the southern boundary of the site, we've got Block D, which comprises 2 two-bedroom houses and 6 three-bedroom houses. And then finally, Block E in the southeast corner, which comprises 9 two-bedroom houses. So, in conclusion, the site is allocated in the local plan for residential development, and the scheme is in keeping with that site allocation. The design principles of the scheme are acceptable and subject to some minor details which have been secured by condition. There's no harmful impact on the amenity of adjoining residents. The amenity of future residents of this site has been considered, and noise and air quality mitigation put in place due to the adjacent M25. There's no greater impact on the Epping Forest SAC than has previously been assessed, and mitigation measures are included in the Section 106 heads of terms. The transport, car and cycle parking proposals are all acceptable, subject to the conditions proposed. The affordable housing proposal, while disappointing and below our policy requirement, we have undertaken an independent financial review of this. And we are satisfied that it's the maximum reasonable offer on the current day basis, and this is due to rising construction costs, which have not been matched by rising values. We have proposed a review mechanism is included in the Section 106 agreement, so that if the viability position improves at a future date, the difference can be clawed back and that can be obtained at that point. And the sustainability aspects of the proposal are policy compliant and are significantly reducing the carbon footprint due to design measures. And overall, the proposal is compliant with the requirements adopted local plan, and officers have recommended it for approval.
Thank you very much, Mr. Finney. We have one speaker, and that is Mr. Simon Rutter, who is the applicant, and you have 3 minutes, sir.
Lovely. Thank you, Chair, and good evening, councillors. Thank you also for the opportunity just to say a few words in support of this application. Quick apology if it appears I'm pointing at anyone. I do have a splint on my finger, so it's not intentional. Apologies. I'm sure you're all familiar with the application site. As Nick's outlined, a former Waltham Abbey swimming pool was demolished some time ago. Since the recent adoption of the local plan, the site has been removed from the green belt and is now an allocated residential development site. The local plan designated the site for 27 homes, and the proposed scheme in line with this seeks to provide 28 homes, 18% of which will be affordable. The application has been subject to extensive consultation and collaboration with stakeholders, both prior to the submission and throughout the planning application process. This has included the public, your officers, the quality review panel, as well as statutory consultees such as Essex Police. As a result of this proactive engagement, the proposed scheme responds fully to any issues identified. This residential development will continue the Qualis ambition for the district and deliver much needed housing with a mix of 2- and 3-bed family homes, including affordable homes. The affordable housing proposed will be provided on-site and will be identical to the open market homes. In spite of a difficult economic environment, this provision has been tested and agreed through a stringent viability assessment, but the Section 106 agreement captures a clawback mechanism should this improve before completion. Energy efficiency and sustainability have been an integral part of the design, using a fabric-first approach to minimise energy demand. The proposal aims to meet the targets set within the Council's own sustainability guidance, which include the orientation of dwellings to ensure optimised passive solar gain, the use of mechanical heat recovery ventilation, air source heat pumps and electrical car charging points for the use by residents. The high-quality design and layout of the scheme responds to the unique nature of the site and its constraints. Access to the playing fields and open space is maintained by the introduction of a shared cycleway and footway along the eastern boundary. Finally, we are making contributions to education, healthcare, the SAC and community facilities, alongside our positive stance towards sustainable development. I hope that members will support the delivery of this scheme on a site that is capable of early development. Thank you.
Right, thank you very much. Members, a number of people wish to speak. I would just start off by saying that the recommended proposal is to approve. So I think Councillor Kane first and then Councillor Kaufmann.
Yeah, thank you, Chairman. As a town councillor, I welcome this really because I was a cabinet member when we did the leisure centre in Waltham Abbey and we closed that one. My concern is actually that it's been empty for some time. Therefore, one of our policies is actually the affordable housing is to be 40%. And because of this increase, we ended up with, which is 11 units, we ended up with 5. Now, the officer did mention about that if things recover, there will be, you know, measures or whatever, but I would like to tell me what kind of measures, because we lost the 6 units already, so how we're going to recover this.
Okay, thank you. Who'd like to answer that? Finney, would you like to answer?
Okay, so it's currently proposed as a late stage review, which means it would be a financial contribution at that stage, which we would then have to find an alternative home for. Which may convert a private property somewhere else to affordable property. So,
yep. Okay. Can you come back, Councillor?
Yes, I'm happy with that, provided it is minuted that that will happen, because it is important that it is not lost, you know, and we recover this in the future, please.
In which case, I'll just ask again. This is in the conditions that we are voting on.
It's in the Section 106 heads of terms proposed. It's a review. It doesn't guarantee that it will return the affordable housing. It's just if the viability improves in the future, it will provide the difference. But if the viability stayed the same as it is today, it wouldn't provide additional affordable housing. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Kaufmann.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a point of order. As I'm the Council's representative on Qualis, I'm not going to take part. Thank you.
All right. Okay. Thank you. Take your point. Councillor Matthews next, and then Councillor.
Thank you, Chairman. I share Councillor Kane's concerns around the affordable housing, and although I understand the predicament and the mechanism that's being put in place, unfortunately, having cash in hand won't translate to several affordable units for people to move into. So that is a difficult situation. My other concern was around the noise mitigation. I know you mentioned it there, and when I previously looked, I didn't see anything in the conditions. So perhaps if you could just point me in the right direction with that, what is being put in place in terms of noise mitigation from the M25 for the residents? Thank you.
It's been built into the design, so it's not something to submit later. We've got landscaping buffers, but then also the design of the buildings is such that they are more insulated than they would be normally from noise, and they've got mechanical ventilation so that residents on a hot day don't need to open their window if they don't want to.
Councillor Matthews, come back.
Thank you, if I could come back. It's a little bit of a bugbear of mine, to be perfectly honest, because when we go down this route, we look at the design features on the house, and that's fine if everyone's going to lock up and stay inside, but we want to be encouraging people to be outside and their children to be playing in the garden and to be enjoying the fresh air. So I have a concern around it just being in the design, and would be more comfortable with there being a condition in place relevant to having some kind of sound barrier or some kind of extensive planting. I see from the design there is tree planting on there, but actually something more concrete and significant in place, so that actually it's not a case of, yes, people are protected in the advanced designs of their houses, but actually they can enjoy the open space without the noise as well. Thank you.
Would you like to come back on that?
Yeah. We currently have a landscaping details condition. We could, which is not specific on what it's seeking to achieve, but we could add wording that the landscaping should provide a noise mitigation proposal.
A noise barrier, as far as you can get it.
Yeah.
Noise barrier.
Yeah.
Would councillors be happy if that was included? Okay, thank you. Councillor Heath?
Thank you. When I was reading all this on the web, there was much play made of photovoltaics on the roof. Is that still in?
Who's going to answer that?
I'm not 100% sure, I'm afraid. Can I defer to Qualis? Are they allowed to?
Right. Normally you can't come back, but as this is a technical question, you can. So what is the situation?
I'm happy to answer that. There aren't photovoltaics on the roof. The sustainability calculations were done, and it was found that they weren't necessary in terms of the approach that was taken with Fabric First, MVHR, energy efficiency in terms of the homes themselves.
Well,
I'm not sure that's what you wanted to hear, but that is the answer.
Well, I think it's a very limited answer. You know, if you think you can make the energy with ground source heat and all that kind of stuff, then maybe. But it's not just for this development, is it? It could be transmitted to people living locally, so you could reduce energy costs for the people who are going to look at this thing. And when we come to the look of this thing, I think this design is pretty hideous. I mean, I'm not saying wouldn't approve it, because I don't think there's a reason to disprove it just because I don't like it. But, you know, it's not great, and it's quite small inside. Some of the bedrooms are really tiny. And when we talk about the open space that you're talking about is right next to the M25. So who in their right mind is going to want to go for a run and a wander around there? It's bonkers.
Thank you. I remember when we first went to see this site, and we were going to demolish the swimming pool and so on. And we were told, of course, that it was originally designed to be part of an area of playing field stretching in all directions. And then the government built the M25 right through the middle of it and rather ruined the aspect of the site. So I think it could be said we're simply making the best of what is not a perfect situation. But I understand your concerns. Councillor Kane.
Thank you, Chairman. This is actually my ward, so I know the site extremely well. In terms of noise, it's not as noisy as you might expect looking at the map because of the topography of the ground. In terms of people being in their right minds and going for a run, there are about 4 football pitches up there. Lots of people go for a run up there. And it's on that subject that I just wanted to highlight. We've got the cycleway footpath down the side of the site. It's imperative that that stays open and it stays at 3.5 metres. not only for the grass mowing equipment to get in, but more importantly for ambulances and fire services to be able to get in. So that's something I was pleased to see. I actually verified with the developer earlier on this week. So that's good, but that needs to stay in there. When we're looking at the landscaping at the back of the site, I think it's not just the noise, if that's something that needs to be looked at, it's also security. Many of the current residents who back onto those fields have real concerns about the security of the openness, particularly at night, and they feel vulnerable. And we're moving the boundary a little bit further out with this development. So I think it's important that landscaping has lots of hawthorns in it, effectively, just to enhance the security on the back, because nobody wants to see 8-foot fences at the back, because that kind of defeats the point. But if we can do that job with landscaping, that'd be very good.
Yes, thank you. Yes, Councillor Kane.
Yes, thank you, Sab, because he actually reminded me about this path. I'm very aware that the fields there in Lodge Lane, they're used for football pitches and things like that. So I wanted to make sure that the width of that is enough for an ambulance or a fire brigade, just in case something happens. Can you justify? I mean, an ambulance 3.5 meters, I understand. What about, because they can't, stop and then walk through the path. But what about the fire engine?
I haven't considered whether a fire engine could access it or not, but I know we did consider whether the grounds maintenance lawnmowers could access, and that was confirmed.
It has to be absolutely, 100%. There is a covenant there, and there is football pitches, and their kids are using it. So we need the access, not just for the lawnmower to cut the grass, but for emergency services. So if 3.5 meters is enough, I'm quite happy. But if it is not, then we will have to make it 4 at least to make sure. I'm only asking for 0.5 meter extra, but only if it is necessary.
Before you come in, Councillor Kane, I'll let Mr Finney come back on that one, because we do have an application in front of us that is detailed, and I doubt if you'd want to alter it tonight, but are you happy that you could get both a fire engine and, more particularly, an ambulance onto the down that path?
It seems likely. I can't 100% confirm a fire engine can access down there. We could look at the landscaping condition details to confirm that, and if the hard standing needed adjustment as part of the landscaping condition, it could be addressed via that.
Okay, Councillor Kane.
Now, as I said earlier, I have actually been in touch with the developer during the course of this week, asking that specific question. And I have been assured that it is wide enough for a standard fire tender.
Right, okay, thank you. Other councillors? Councillor Whitehouse?
Thanks, Chairman. Yeah, I mean, I agree with other councillors. It's not great that, effectively on a council development and land that's provided by the council at the start of the new local plan, we can't actually deliver our policy on affordable housing. And, I do wonder, what other developers and so forth will make of that in terms of delivering policy objectives in the future. I mean, 18% is half of the, it's not just shaving at the edges, it's absolutely, ignoring, the policy, which went through a public inquiry and viability tests and all the rest of it, and yet here we are a month and a week after it's been adopted, and not adhering to the policy. Councillor Matthews asked one of the questions asked, so if you just respond in the same way, there's mention that it's been designed to reduce the air pollution impact of the motorway, and explain how that is achieved. And the centre of the development, I mean, it's absolutely dominated, it seems to be, by hard landscaping, and I'm slightly surprised it got the support of the quality review panel for that. But I mean, usually we look for a bit more sort of landscaping and amenity space and so forth in a development, don't we? What's the thinking behind, you know, or in this case?
Mr. Finney, would you like to come back?
Yeah, so on the air quality point, the air quality assessment submitted to the application wasn't finding a kind of abnormal situation that would have been unacceptable, but on the same basis, the noise mitigation, the windows can be kept closed and the units cooled appropriately if there was an air quality issue, but there's not. The air quality assessment wasn't finding an issue from the M25 in this location. In terms of the landscape, it's obviously a balance between fitting in the access and the parking required with the landscaping. If you were to substantially increase the amenity space, you would reduce the number of units. So it was always a balance between those two things. It was felt in this case that with some high quality landscaping where it does feature and with multiple accesses provided from the site to the surrounding amenity space, that it was acceptable. So we've got accesses in 3 directions to the adjoining amenity space.
Thank you. So Councillor Williamson wanted to come back on something, so if you could start and then go to Councillor Heap again.
Thank you, Chair. I think my only statement on this is I understand the disappointment in the 18%, but I think I'd sooner have 28 units, 5 of which are affordable, than none at all. Thank you.
Okay, Councillor Heap.
Sorry, just clarification. At the beginning of the presentation, it was identified as 27 units in this space, but there are 28 now.
The reference I made was to the approximate capacity in the local plan. So local plan site allocations have an approximate capacity, which is not a fixed number, but it's approximate, and that was 27. This proposal is 28. So it's approximately the same. It's not a difference of any substance.
Yeah, do you want to come back on that?
It might be to the people living in a slightly smaller house.
I take your point. We've had something similar at Ongar recently, and we are told that the numbers in the local plan are approximate, although quite what that means, we shall see. Councillor Pond and then Councillor Matthews.
I was just going to observe, Chairman, I've got nothing against this application. I think it will go through, but I hope that Qualis have got a good estate agent lined up their sleeve to try to sell 82% market housing, cheap by jowl by the noise, fumes and inconvenience of the M25.
Thank you. Councillor Matthews. No, you don't need to answer that. Councillor Matthews.
Just listening to what other councillors have said and around this sort of 18% with the affordable, and as the officer said, the mechanism to review it at the end of the process, and then is the only option once that's reviewed a financial payment? Is there any other options that could be explored at all? Thank you.
I think I can answer that. The answer is no. No, it is purely financial. And then money could be put into something else, somewhere else. I have to say, I think most of us would have liked to have seen a rather different scheme here, but we are voting on what is in front of us tonight. And either it goes ahead or it doesn't. Any other councillors? No? In which case the recommendation is to approve. All those in favour, please show.
Nine, Chairman.
Thank you. Against?
None, Chairman. I believe we have 2 abstentions.
And 2 abstentions.
Yep.
In which case... in which case planning permission is granted. Number 12 is any other business. Do we have any other business, Gary?
No, Chairman.
Okay. There's no reason, as I can see, for the exclusion of public and press particularly in view of the fact they've all gone. I would like to thank councillors and officers. There's been a lot of work has gone into the applications this evening, and I think we've made the right decision to defer the solar farm for a site visit as soon as possible, so that we can have a better idea of that. The fact that we will be doing it at a time when I may not even be a councillor and that I may not be chairman of district development took no part in my decision making on this. So
this is the last meeting, yes?
Yes, this is the last meeting of the year. So, Andrew, I don't know if you've nothing to add on that. I will.
Chairman, you said as soon as possible, but like Councillor Kane says, we will have to wait until the new committee is brought into being, and then we'll take it from there.
Okay, thank you. Well, in which case I would like to thank all members and officers for their assistance during the course of the time I've been chairman. The idea of district development is you get the ones that the other people don't want to make decisions on, so we do have some harder decisions. And I still didn't get as big a cheer as the lady from the rugby club, so... Anyway, thank you very much indeed, and I close the meeting at 8:04. Thank you very much indeed.